Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to discuss the last topic of Chapter 6, Molecular Basis of Inheritance, the DNA fingerprinting. So, before we discuss the DNA fingerprinting, we have to go to fingerprinting. So, fingerprinting means it is coming under the study, the topic, that is dermatoglyphics, that is the finger impressions based on the pattern of finger impression, different patterns of impressions on the finger. We can identify a person. That science is called as dermatoglyphics. The fingerprints occurs only on the fingertips and can be altered by surgery. So if you are taking that as an evidence, especially for solving the forensic cases and even crimes, etc., if we are relying on, there are many limitations because the thumb impressions or the skin on the thumb or the fingertips and all can be altered by surgery and all. So that to a certain extent we can take it as an evidence, but it is fully cannot be reliable. Then in such cases, what is the other alternative means? We can go for the DNA profiling, or another way, DNA typing or DNA fingerprinting. That means it is the uniqueness, order or arrangement of repeated sequences which is present in the DNA of a person and their location, their length and their presence, etc., can be detected. And based on that information, we can identify a person. And this technique is, we can say it is fully reliable because each and every person is a product of sexual reproduction. And as a result, there will be a shuffling of genic sequences and DNA sequences, which is actually inherited from our parents. 50% we are inheriting from our father and 50% we are inheriting from our mother. So the child will get a unique combination of base sequences. And by studying that uniqueness and its location and its arrangement, the pattern of arrangement, etc., can be taken as a valid evidence for solving the identity of a person in different fields. So that study is generally, we'll call it as the DNA fingerprinting. And the DNA sequence of, or the DNA type of a person will be same in each and every cell, because we all the organism is formed from a single cell with a unique pattern of DNA or a unique set of chromosomes which consists of unique pattern of DNA. And that cell only is multiplied into many times and then finally transform into organs, organ systems, and the organism as such. So what DNA pattern is present in the zygote, in that single cell, that alone only will be transformed when that person is transformed into a complete, that zygote is transformed into a complete organism. So the same pattern or the same type of DNA sequences, the same order, the same arrangement, everything will be reflected in each and every cell of that particular person. So this technique only is more reliable when we are comparing into others. But even then there are certain, a special case, that is in the case of identical twins, because identical twins are formed from the same zygote. And in the early stage, at the 2-celled condition or maybe 4-celled condition, this will be separated or split into 2 parts. And each part is developed, or each cell is developed into a complete organism. So in such case alone only, there can be a duplication of the same type of DNA profile or DNA fingerprint. So in all other cases, the DNA fingerprinting is, or the documents which is collected as a result of DNA fingerprinting is 100% reliable. Then we'll move on to more in detail about DNA fingerprinting. That is, so here DNA fingerprinting. So what for we are using this DNA fingerprinting? On the right side, I have made a image of the recordical result of DNA fingerprinting of a particular person. And this technique is used by scientists to distinguish between the individuals of the same species using samples of their DNA. So how can we take the DNA? It is actually from a cell, a typical cell from any part of the body can be taken as the sample for collecting the DNA. So here this method was developed by, so who introduced this method? So it was developed by the scientist called as Alex Jeffrey in 1985. And the methodology he followed in this, on the left side I have marked, that is any cell in the sense when I'm saying it is any nucleated cell. Why we are specifying on nucleated cells? Because the DNA is occurring in the chromosomes within the nucleus. So any nucleated cell. So we cannot take RBC because RBC is not having nucleus. So any nucleated cell can be taken. It can be a drop of saliva. It can be a drop of blood. That from that the WBCs can be taken. It can be even a single hair follicle. It cannot be cell hair. The follicle, that means from the root cell of the hair, can be taken. So any cell or skin or vaginal swab where the body secretions which contain the nucleated cells, any sample can be taken. So that sample can be taken and we can extract the DNA from that cell, and then that DNA can be fragmented. The steps, each step we'll discuss more in detail later. And then this fragmented DNA can be allowed to pass through, separate in a based on the technique that is called as gel electrophoresis. And then the separated DNA fragments can be, because they all are, the DNA cannot be visible with our naked eye. So in order to make it visible, they can be hybridized with, or they can be made visible with the help of radio labeled DNA complementary base sequences, that is called as VNTR probes. So this, since both the strands will be the probes and the DNA which is fragmented and separated will contain the complementary bases, they can ligate each other, or they can make that single-stranded DNA of our own with the known sequences of probes. Then they will be made it as double-stranded, where the presence or the location of that DNA which is extracted, this small stretch of DNA which is extracted, or VNTR, we can say, made visible with the help of, made labeled with the help of radio labeled VNTR probes. So once it is labeled, then it can be detected very easily with the help of autoradiography, which is allowed to pass through X-ray films. So we'll get different light and dark bands on the X-ray sheet, and their position will be unique of that DNA, different DNA fragments, which will be unique to each and every person by comparing the uniqueness of that one. If to whom, whoever, if it is to the suspect, means to the suspect 1, 2, 3, 4, or if it is to the maternity issues, means to the father and mother, and you can find out the real biological father or mother. So this technique is collectively, it is called as DNA fingerprinting. So this method was developed by Alex Jeffrey. So one by one we will deal more in detail each step. Let us go to that steps. So here, before going deep into the step, we have to go into the principle. So here, the principle, when we are saying the human genome or the entire gene collection of a person or a species, it possesses numerous non-coding and repeated inheritable sequences of bases. and this will be repeated many times. And that repeated sequences which are inheriting, each person will possess, and that is inherited from our parents because we are the product of reproduction. So what our parents will have, what all genic bases we are having in our parents, that only will be passed on to us. So 50% of the DNA complement or DNA sequences we'll inherit from our mother. The remaining 50% we will inherit from father. And the same way only each and every species. When one species is gradually evolved into another species, there will be a particular percentage of genic sequences will be passed on. So in the evolution, if you want to find out the evolutionary history of a species from their ancestral forms, there also we can compare these unique sequences. And maximum presence of that unique sequences in a species from the believed to be from the ancestral strain, we can find out which one is more closer to the ancestral species, which one is distantly related to the ancestral species. So this technique can, with the help of this, identifying the location of these repeated sequences, we'll call it in scientific way, this terms as VNTR, variable number tandem repeats. So what do you mean by VNTR? Means they are the repeating sequences. They are the repeating nitrogenous base sequences which is present in the genome, in the genetic material of a person. And this is coming under a special category that is called as repeated sequences. It is repeated many times, and the relevance of that one means they are non-coding. So what do you mean by non-coding? They are not taking part in the formation of proteins. They are not taking part in the formation of or in the process of translation, transcription, and translation. They are not acting, they do not have any direct functions, but they reflect the inheritance pattern, or they reflect our evolutionary movement. Each evolutionary step will be imprinted in these sequences in the form of repeating sequences. How many repeating sequences we are inheriting from our parental generations, because it is a continuous process from our parents and from our forefathers, and like that. It will be passed on over many generations in that form, and it will be collectively added to one portion of our DNA or chromosomes. So their locations, if you are able to identify, then we can solve most of these issues which are raised for while identifying a person. So I'll read out. They are the sequences which are numerous, many, in millions of copies it will be there. And it will be numerous and non-coding. They are non-coding repeating sequences. And they are inheritable. 50% from our parents and 50% from our father as well as from mother. And it is repeated many places, many times. Sometimes in father's genome, it may be that particular sequence which we are going to identify. That sequence may be repeated 8 times, means maybe in mother it is 4 times. So in that way, their length will be. So the 8 times means the length of the DNA, which is repeated many times, 8 times. Then that length will vary from that what is present from the mother. So if it is only 4 times only in mother, it is repeated, means the length of the DNA sequence will be size-wise, it is small compared to father. So these two will appear in the offspring. And their location, because size is different, so their location also will be different. And their when we are plotting into X-ray sheets, their thickness also will be different. Their banding pattern will be different. So these, based on these unique characteristics, their location, their size, their banding pattern, everything will be unique for that particular person. And it will be vary in from one person to another if they are siblings. So first child, they may be getting another sequence. The second child will be getting another sequence. This only I said, if it is identical twins, that twins will inherit the same binding patterns of DNA because they are formed from a single zygote. In all other cases, the binding patterns will vary. So this is the identifying this VNTRs in the genome, in the human genetic material. And that can be separated and identified, and that can be detected, and that can be duplicated in the form of X-ray film in an X-ray film that is collectively called as DNA fingerprinting. So here, these repeating sequences, scientifically, it is named with a special name that is called as satellite. So many DNA-based sequences which is not of having any particular function, or we can say no coding function, but they are repeated because we are inherited from a common ancestor, unicellular common ancestor, like say for example, maybe from a bacteria-like organism or maybe an amoeba-like organism, then gradually they are evolved. So in each step of evolution, there are modification and addition of more and more genic sequences, more and more base sequences, which will adapt them more suitable to the varied climatic changes. But in course of time, sometimes that new varied characters which acquired in the evolutionary step later may become functionless. So that basic sequences will be added upon as simply the repeating, or we can say simply the junk genes with the no direct coding function. But still it will be retained in our genome. So such repeating sequences are collectively named as satellite. And this repeating satellite sequences can be separated from the main DNA coding sequences, or we can say main bulk DNA. And that is separated with the help of a separating technique that is called as density gradient centrifugation. So when we are adding a density, different gradients of density solution, and when we are adding this DNA fragments, the fragments which have more repeated sequences will have such type of repeating sequences are more compared to the coding sequences. So this repeated sequences will be accumulated in a separate zone, in a separate gradient as a bulk genome. And the other one will be separate, coding sequences will be separated. So very easily we can separate the repeating or satellite DNA. And this, from the satellite DNA, based on their size, we can again categorize them as actually it is not three major kinds based on the size. So microsatellite, that means repeating sequences which contain the base length or the repeating bases of maximum of 4 to 8. So in that repeating bulk, if the number of sequences is only 4 to 8, then they are called as microsatellites. And if that length of that DNA repeating sequences varies from approximately maximum of up to 60 bases, then it is called as mini satellites. Then there are another one moderately sequences that can be up to 250. So mainly we are categorizing them as mini satellites and microsatellites. So for DNA fingerprinting, we are taking the mini satellites. That is the DNA length, the repeating sequences, the length of the DNA, which consists of maximum of 80 base sequences. They are repeated simply within the genome. So such repeating sequences are collected or named as VNTR. So what do you mean by VNTR? Means they are variable in number, location. So their location will be variable, and the times they are repeated also will be varies from one person to another. That is what I said. Maybe our father will have a particular sequence repeating only for 5 times. Maybe mother, they will be having only 2 times. Or in certain other species, certain other sequences, maybe in mother they may be repeated, that will be repeated 10 times, maybe in the chromosome 4. And in the same chromosome 4 in fathers, maybe it is repeating only 3 times or 4 times. So their repeating number of times it is repeating will be varying. So that is why the two names, variable and number. Location will vary and the number also will vary. Then the next term only, tandem. So what do you mean by tandem? Means they are arranged one over the other. So it will not be scattered. It will not be scattered here and there, because they are simply repeated from one and it is duplicated into another, and again it is duplicated into another. So they will sit side by side, or they will sit one over the other. So their arrangement is tandem. Then the last word, VNTR. R stands for repeats. Already I said they are the repeating sequences. So based on the location of VNTR and how many times they are repeated in the DNA of a particular person, and if you are able to identify that one, then it is easy to identify the identity of that person. So here I read, depending upon the length, base composition, and the numbers of tandemly repeated units, the satellite DNAs have subcategorized like microsatellites and mini satellites. So micro means very small number, up to 8, 4 to 8. And mini satellites means maximum of up to 60 base pairs. Then satellite DNA shows polymorphism. So the word meaning means, the polymorphism means the genetic variability that occurs in a population. So in human beings, the satellite DNA, it is the repeating sequences is varies from one person to another, because each and every person is a product of sexual reproduction. The male gamete, the father's sperm, will fuse with mother's egg. The father's genetic material is entirely different from mother. So you are inheriting half of the genic sequences or half of the genetic makeup from father and half of the genetic makeup from mother. And the same way one species is organized into another species, there also the genetic combination will vary. So every level there is uniqueness, there is differences. So we can say the satellite DNA also, they occur in different varieties or different combinations. So that is a word meaning satellite DNA shows polymorphism. There is genetic variability, which will be different from one person to another. But even then, the combination of that sequences from a child with a parent, there will be more similarity. One sibling to the other sibling, there will be more similarity. And identical twins, if you are taking, means they are of exactly the same DNA sequences. So the degree of the occurrence of variability of polymorphism will depend upon the relations between the members. So the DNA polymorphism will act as the basis of genetic mapping of human genome, as well as human genome project, and we have developed based on that. And also the DNA fingerprinting. So Alec Jeffrey only have developed the technique for making these uniqueness, for finding out this uniqueness that exists in a person. So here the definition of VNTR. VNTR stands for variable number tandem repeats. They are the short nucleotide repeats in the DNA that are very specific in each individual, very unique in each individual, and vary in number from person to person. But they are inherited from our parents. And these are variable number tandem repeats. And these are coming under the category of mini satellite because the length is from 12 to 16, the base pairs. Then each individual inherits this repeats from his parents, which are used as the genetic markers in a personal identity test. 50% of the VNTR we inherit from our father and 50% from our mother. So here they have we have given an example. A child may inherit a chromosome with 6 tandem repeats from a mother, and the same tandem repeated 4 times in the homologous chromosome inherited from the father. So one half of the VNTR alleles of the child resemble that of the half of the other father. So one half there will be father's repetition of VNTR is there, means on the other chromosome the mother's VNTR repeated, that many number of times will be reflected. Then we will move on to the steps. So when we are saying the steps, here I said our ultimate aim is to find out the location and how many times that VNTR is repeated from paternal side and from maternal side and where it is actually located. So that uniqueness only we have to find out. So for the examination point of view, we have to mention this 4 steps, and each step elaborately little more. So for that only I am representing here a small mnemonics techniques. That is, the code for finding out the steps is I found electric bulb emits E is silent and high radiation. So here I stands for isolation of DNA, because DNA we have to get it from only from a nucleated cell. So the nucleated cell, any cell, it can be any cell. It can be a drop of blood. It can be from a drop of saliva. It can be from a drop of vaginal swab or from a hair follicle. So any body fluids or any body cells which contain nucleated cells will act as the source of DNA. And that cell, the cell membrane can be, cell wall or cell membrane can be lysed off, and the components can be separated, and ultimately we have to separate the chromosomes. From the chromosomes we have to separate the DNA. So the DNA extraction techniques we have already learned in biotechnology. So cell wall breaking by cellulase enzyme or ligase or protease or whatever it is. With the help of that one, we can, then after that we have to, that mixture we have to add the chilled ethanol, then we'll get a thread-like appearance. That is the DNA. So the same method we can adopt, and we can separate the DNA threads. The DNA strands we can separate. Then the separated DNA should be, the next step is fragmentation. So fragmentation means based on the restriction sites. We can add that particular restriction endonuclease, and then it will help, or it will check for the palindromic sequences, and there at the restricted sites it can cut. So you will get different fragments of DNA. And this fragmented DNA, we have to undergo the density gradient, and we can separate them based on their density, and the mini satellites can be separated. Mini satellite regions can be separated. This mini satellite DNA can be passed on to the wells of gel electrophoresis. Pass through the gel electrophoresis. So gel electrophoresis is a technique to separate the DNA fragments based on their length. So the fragments will be separated according to their length in different layers or in different positions. This separated DNA will be allowed to blot onto a nitrocellulose membrane, because the DNA as well as agarose, it will be separated in the agarose gel only. So their position we cannot see with our naked eye. So in order to make it a permanent copy, we have to blot, or onto that gel we have to press a nitrocellulose membrane. So when you are pressing a nitrocellulose membrane on this DNA gel, DNA separated gel, this will be pressed. So the DNA will be stick on to that nitrocellulose membrane on the exact position where it is separated. But even then we cannot see with our naked eye. It will be blotted onto that. Since here in this technique the DNA is blotted into that nitrocellulose membrane, that technique is called as Southern blotting, and that technique is developed by the scientist name itself is E.M. Suthers. So Southern, okay. Instead of that, if in any other technique, if you want to separate the protein means, it is called as Eastern. Not Eastern, Western blot. Protein is separated by this nitrocellulose blotting technique means, then it is called as Western. That is why ELI's AIDS test we are going for the protein, the antigen. or antibody we are testing means then it is called as Western blot test. Then there is, instead of DNA, if we are separating the RNA, it is called as Northern blot. It is called as Northern blot. And there is no Eastern blot because there is no other substance. Only protein and the genetic material only we are able to separate. So the genetic material, DNA and RNA, then protein. So DNA by Southern blotting, RNA by Northern blotting, and protein by Western blotting. So we'll move into our topic, that is Southern blotting. So it will be allowed to blot onto a nitrocellulose membrane. But even then also we will not be able to see. Even if it is in the nitrocellulose membrane also, we won't be able to see with our naked eye. So how can we make the location of that DNA repeated sequences with our naked eye? Because they are the VNTRs. The VNTR mini satellites, only in that bulk form they are allowed to separate. So that we cannot visualize. So in order to make it visualize that DNA strands, what we will have to do, we will have to hybridize. That nitrocellulose membrane will be immersed in a medium which contain radio-labeled VNTR probes. So we have separated the VNTR of a VNTR present in a particular person in a particular chromosome. Say for example, if it is chromosome 8, means chromosome 8 VNTRs can be separated with the help of gel electrophoresis, and that can be transferred into a nitrocellulose membrane. Even then also it cannot be visible. Then their location also we do not know because they are transparent. We cannot detect with our naked eye. So their location we have to find out. At the same time, we have to find out where it is present, in which distance it is present. So in order to make it visible and to locate where exactly that is present, so we have to use a complementary sequenced repeating sequences that is called as VNTR probes. So here if it is A, T, C, G is repeated, means when we are making the VNTR probes, instead of A there should be T. Then instead of T there should be A. T, A, G, C. So that one complementary base sequences which is complementary to the VNTR, non-sequences. They are the complementary non-base sequences. And in order to make it visible only, we will label that such complementary sequences with radio labeled, radioactivity. So it is a synthetic, artificially we are making it, and it is single stranded, and at the same time they are radio labeled. So we will dip that nitrocellulose which contain the VNTRs of that particular person from that particular chromosome will be immersed in the medium which contain complementary VNTR probes which are labeled. So VNTR and VNTR probe is entirely different. VNTR is the repeating sequences which is coming under the category of mini satellites, which is variable in number, and at the same time they are tandemly arranged, which is fragmented and which is separated, and it is allowed to settle in nitrocellulose membrane. And to that the complementary VNTR. So complementary VNTR means they are also single stranded, but they are labeled, radioactively labeled. Or fluorescent dye also you can use it. So here it is radio labeled VNTR. Since they are complementary, the radio labeled VNTR will come and sit over the VNTR, and they will make that one as double stranded. So even though we do not know the strand, we can identify, we can detect the radio label radioactivity in the VNTR. So if the radioactivity is there, means we can automatically assess that the complementary sequences. If it is ATCG means it will bind with TAGC. So they will be there. So there the position of that one we can detect with the help of detection of the radioactivity. So they will form, they will hybridize. So VNTR of the person will hybridize with the known VNTR probes. Then their location on the nitrocellulose can be made visualized with the help of autoradiography. So this autoradiography is by passing through the X-rays. So that radioactivity of the VNTR probe can be detected with the help of when this nitrocellulose paper which contain the VNTR and its complementary VNTR probe, which is labeled with radioactivity, when we pass the UV radiation, not UV radiation, X-rays, when we pass on, it will produce the alternate light and dark bands like barcodes. These bands will appear somewhat like barcodes on the which one, the books and all, no, the price of the books and all, or even supermarket and all, their prices, it will be tagged in the form of magnetic ink character recognition, MICR. In that pattern, more or less similar that pattern, on the X-ray sheet, we can see these banding patterns. So these are the 6 steps. For that, mnemonic techniques is I. I stands for isolation of DNA from any nucleated cell. Then second one, fragmentation. F, found, first letter of found, fragmentation. Fragmentation of DNA by restriction endonuclease. The third step is E. E stands for gel electrophoresis. Agarose gel electrophoresis only we are mainly using it. So we can separate these fragments with the help of agarose gel electrophoresis. They are the third letter sounds. Then the fourth letter, it is B I have taken, and B stands for southern blotting. That means the separated DNA fragments are blotted into a nitrocellulose membrane or nylon membrane. Then that is B stands for. Then the E is silent here. The next one, it is H. High. H first letter. That high is stands for hybridization. The VNTR fragments which are separated, which is present in the nitrocellulose membrane, is allowed to label, allowed to bind or hybridize with complementary single-stranded radio-labeled VNTR. That is called as VNTR probe. Then the last step is radiation, autoradiography. And this, by using this autoradiography, when X-ray is passed on, X-ray you have to specify very clearly. Okay, X-ray passing on to this nitrocellulose, the locations of the VNTRs can be detected. So this 6 points you have to write it. Then when we'll move on to the next one, each one step by step. Already we have mentioned only the first one, isolation of DNA source of cell. It can be DNA extracted from the nucleated cell, from blood, or blood, that means WBC, not RBC. Then hair follicle cell, then skin cell, saliva, semen. Semen, which one is the nucleated cell? That is the sperm. Sperm contain the head. Within the head, the nucleus is present. Then any body tissue cells, then vaginal swab. All these are acting as the source. Then how can we isolate the cell? The cells or tissues from the body, like skin cells or all the cells, can be, or any cell, any other body cell containing the DNA can be used in the fingerprinting. They can be lysed, the cell wall can be lysed, and the individual components can be separated, and finally we can take the chromosomes. So from the chromosomes, all the proteins can be removed by protease, RNAs, etc. Then finally, by adding the chilled ethanol, we will get the precipitated form of thread-like structures that is called as DNA. Then the next one, it is digestion or fragmentation of the DNA by restriction endonuclease. So the DNA is cut into fragments using restriction endonuclease. So the restriction endonuclease is also called as chemical knife or scissors, molecular scissors. Then each restriction enzyme cuts the DNA at specific base sequence. That only we will call it as the restricted sites. With sites on palindromic repeated sequences, palindromic sequences. Then the sections of DNA that are cut are called as restriction fragments. Then restriction enzymes, we already we have learned in biotechnology. Just for an example, I have given, if you are using E. coli, means they will cut at the GATTC palindromic sequence between G and A. And you will get as a result the sticky ends. So this is helpful in cutting the DNA. Then the next one is gel electrophoresis. The fragments are separated on the basis of the size using a process that is called as gel electrophoresis. The gel can be of different type. Here commonly used gel is agarose gel. Sometimes polyacrylamide gel also will be used. So based on that age, agarose gel electrophoresis, AGE. Page means P stands for polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis. So different types of electrophoresis are there. So commonly used one is agar gel electrophoresis. Then DNA fragments are injected into wells. It is loaded into the wells and electric current is applied along the gel. So DNA is negatively charged, hence it will be attracted towards the anode, far away from the DNA loading site. And this movement is based on the size of the DNA. So the smaller fragments will move very fast compared to the larger one. So they will be moved towards faster, a very fast movement, and they moved or settled in the anode region. The larger ones towards the loading site. The shorter, then the DNA can be in that way, DNA can be separated. So this is the model, the picture I have given, how this loading well, the gel electrophoresis is conducted. So one side it is cathode, other side it is anode. And near the cathode region only, the loading sites for the DNA will be in the form of wells. There we can load the fragmented DNA. When we apply the electric field, connect this one to an electric field, automatically the DNA fragments will be separated. So on the right side, I have given the separated fragments in different form. Then we'll move on to the next step, southern blotting. So here only I said the DNA fragments are transferred to a nylon or nitrocellulose sheet by placing the sheet on a gel and soaking them overnight by the process of southern blotting. And this technique was developed by E.M. Southern in 1975. And these fragments of particular size having VNTRs are multiplied through PCR technique. So if you want more of that fragments, you can amplify it by polymerase chain technique. And they are treated with alkaline chemicals to split them into single-stranded DNA. Because DNA is double-stranded, we have to make it into single-stranded. So one strand only will be allowed to hybridize with the VNTR probes. Okay, so VNTR probe is single-stranded. So DNA also, which one we are going to detect the location, that also has to be made single-stranded. So then only they can form hybridization. Okay, our own DNA from then VNTR probe. So they will bind. Then here they have given the various other blotting techniques. Western is for RNA, northern is for protein, and no eastern blotting. Then this is the technique of southern blotting, the pictorial demonstration. So there will be an agarose gel. On that gel, we have to fix the nitrocellulose and we have to keep it for 1 overnight minimum, because they have to bind very firmly onto the nitrocellulose. So, and on that we have to keep a weight. So they will be pressed very firmly, and automatically the DNA which is secreted, which will be extracted, which is extracted in the in the gel, will be sticking on to the blotted paper, nitrocellulose or sheet or nylon sheet. Then the next step is hybridization with VNTR. So VNTR probe is fragment of DNA or RNA of variable length, around 100 to 1000 bases long, which can be radioactively labeled. So any component in that can be labeled. So phosphorus or nitrogen or sulfur or any way we can label with radioactivity. That chemical component, which component we are using to be labeled, that will be labeled with radioactivity. And it is used in DNA or RNA samples to detect the presence of nucleotide sequences that are completely to the sequence of the probe. Then adding radioactive or colored, we can use fluorescent colors also. Fluorescent colored probes to the nylon sheet, which is complementary to the target sequences. So since they are complementary, the probes will attach to the DNA, VNTR. Then each probe binds with its complementary VNTRs at specific places on the sheet. Then the last step is autoradiography. This technique is used to detect the sequence and genome bound with a radioactive probe on a membrane. Here, How we can detect means we have to allow X-ray film. We have to use X-ray film. So this X-ray film is exposed to the nylon membrane to mark the places where the radioactive DNA probes were bound to the DNA fragments. When we pass X-rays through the X-ray film, which is attached to the nylon membrane, then these places are marked as dark bands when X-ray film is developed. This is known as autoradiography. The dark bands on X-ray film represent the DNA fingerprints. Fingerprints in the means the location of that VNTRs. And based on that study, we can analyze the last step, analysis of band patterns, which will vary from one person to another. The comparison of position of bars gives the identity of a person. So if it is between father and mother, the 50% of that location between father means father's 50% location will be repeated in child, and mother's also 50% exactly it will be repeated. So the child will get the 50% from father, 50% from mother, which will make him a unique combination of VNTRs. And with the help of computer softwares, we can analyze this one and we can come into the conclusion regarding its various sources of this one. So here we will discuss the applications of DNA fingerprinting. DNA fingerprinting can help to distinguish one human being from one person with another person, with the exception of monozygotic twins. That only I said identical twins. Identical twins will have the same. Then, in order to solve the paternity and maternity issues, sometimes we may come across in our life, there are many issues regarding the paternity. So in such cases, we have to collect the suspected, if it is paternity, means suspected fathers, and then the child. And we'll compare which one shows more similar, that will be the biological father of that person. Then human lineage, the evolution of human beings, whether a person is as of African lineage or Caucasian lineage or Mongoloid. So in the human beings itself, there are certain varieties of human varieties. Some of them Australoid, Negroid. So which race we are? To a certain, to a maximum, we can find out more similarity. If your ancestral origin is from Negroid community, there are many similar VNTRs will be there. Then the next one, hereditary diseases. The technique is being used to identify the genes connected with hereditary diseases. So any hereditary diseases, then in their genome, there will be the same locations, that particular repeating sequences can be seen. So certain inheritance patterns. So certain diseases occur in Asiatic origin more when compared to Negroids. Some of them, they will be more in Caucasian varieties. So in all these studies, it will help, the DNA fingerprinting will help in coming into a conclusion of all these things. And sociology. It can identify the racial groups, their origin, historical migration, and invasions. So in olden days, it was believed that in India, from India and all a group of human beings are migrated to many places, and there they have started their settlement. So how to prove that? It is from the DNA fingerprinting we can make out whether they are from Indian region or Asiatic region or Pacific region, etc., etc. Later on, whether they have settled in which region, especially, say, for example, nowadays very relevant application and Jewish culture, Jewish genome, they have scattered after the World War. The whole entire community is scattered to different places, and they have started settling in there. But even then, we are defining, or we are able to find out their Jewish genomic sequences in many people, and we can find out their origin or their ancestors were of Jewish community. Like that, and all many applications are possible. So here with this, along with this, I have made a small replica of fingerprinting. So on the left side, it is the autoradiographed X-ray sheet of DNA fingerprinting technique. There you can see the different width, length, and their position is varied. And on the right side, it is the symbol DNA fingerprint. So dermatoglyphics and the DNA fingerprinting. So we can give a comparative study, and at the same time, the more biological relevance on the reliability of DNA fingerprinting. With this, I conclude. Thank you very much.